Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. Thank you for joining us today. I have another referral from Greg Sullivan. We had just such a great interview with him, and he's introduced me to some great people. And I have another group here. They're represented by one person. They're singing. They write some of their own songs. They sing. They are a group called Phillips and Banks. And we have one of the Phillips here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation. And, a lot of people, a lot of places we go, they think we're a law office firm because of our name, Phillips and Banks. But I tell everybody there's no free referrals or anything like that, no free consultations. But I'm just kidding. But, it's just our last name. So my wife and I sing, and we're the Phillips family, and my friend and his wife, they're the Banks. And so we tried really hard to come up with something super spiritual, but Phillips and Banks is what we came up with. So there you go.
Introduce the group, although, there's just one of you here.
So my name is Jacob Phillips, and my wife is Carmen Phillips, and we have an 8-year-old daughter that travels with us, and she sings on a couple songs during the services or the concerts that we are at. And then we have Caleb and Autumn Banks, and we are from East Tennessee, Bristol, Tennessee. I tell everybody we're known for two things in Bristol, Tennessee, and that is country music and NASCAR. That's what we're known for. So there you go. Yeah.
And not necessarily in that order. You have to, depending on who you're talking to, right?
That's exactly right. Yes, yes, sir.
Well, Jacob, tell me, what do you do and why do you do it?
Well, here's what we do. We travel and we tell people about Jesus, and we do that through music, and we do it through testimonies. Each one of us that sing in the group, we have a story to share and a story to tell. And I think it's so important when you go into a church or you go into a venue that you don't just sing music. You don't just put a list together and set up your sound system and hope it all turns out okay. But our goal is to see people saved, to see people renew their life with Christ, to be inspired to go out and do God's will for their life, and to be encouraged and to know that there is hope in Jesus. There's a lot of negative things in the world, especially right now. If you turn on the news for any amount of time, you're going to hear negative. And we try our best to bring a message of hope and a message of encouragement and a message of salvation. So, we met each other my wife and I are high school sweethearts, and we went to high school together. We started dating, and then we went off to college together, and we've been together ever since. We've been married for 12 years, and we dated for 5 years because we couldn't get married really until I got out of college, or we wouldn't financially it just wouldn't have worked. But so we waited. We've been together for 17 years, and I thank God for that. Actually, our anniversary is just right around the corner, so it'll be 18 years. I'm excited about that. And then Caleb and Autumn met. They've been married for about 5 years, and we've been singing for about 5 years. And so we all met at a Christian Performing Arts Theater in Kingsport, Tennessee, which is just down the road from Bristol. And my wife was a theater manager there. I was a production manager, and we all four performed together at this theater. And a friend of mine passed away from ALS. I don't know if you know what that is. It's Lou Gehrig's disease, basically. And what it does is it attacks your muscles, but it leaves your mind completely intact. And so it's a vicious disease, and it's almost like you're trapped inside of your own body. And when she passed away, we had just walked away from this life of theater ministry, and I was wondering what the next step was in our walk of faith. and I had no idea what we were going to do. People thought I was crazy, but we just walked away from these pretty comfortable jobs, and because we felt like the Lord had told us to, and so we did. And when she passed away, her husband asked if we would sing at the funeral, so I took Autumn and Carmen. Caleb didn't sing with us that night. We just sang as a trio. And I'll never forget it. There was a pastor that I've known for years. He approached me afterward and he said, "Hey, I hear that you're not at the theater anymore," because a lot of people in the local area would go and hear us perform. And I said, "Yeah, we're not." And he said, "Well, would you like to come to my church and sing?" And I said, "Well, I'm not really looking for a staff position anymore." He said, "No, no, 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 no. I just want you to come and sing for homecoming." And so we went, and we had a great time. People enjoyed it. And before we were Phillips and Banks, before we had a sound system, before we had original material, before we had a trailer, before we had anything, we were getting calls to be booked. And part of that was because so many people had seen us at this local theater. And so when we started this ministry, we really wanted it to be first and foremost about the gospel and about, it's not just music. Music is just a vehicle. That's all music is. And so we really wanted music to be the vehicle to share the gospel. So when you ask me, what do you do? I guess my most basic answer is that we go in and we share the gospel through what God has done in our lives. And we do that through the vehicle of music. And so we sing Southern gospel music. It's sometimes it sounds pretty traditional, 4-part harmony. And we are a mixed group. So we have 2 female voices, 2 male voices. So it's a little unique in that it's not a family group and it's not a traditional all-male quartet, but it is a mixed quartet. And so the sound is a little more unique. And it's really fun. We love to do a cappella music and all kinds of different things like that, and that's a lot of fun. And so yeah, that's kind of what we do. We travel all over. We've been to several different states, and we're kind of a regional group right now, mostly southeast and up into like the northern states on the eastern side of the U.S. And so we're very excited to just continue to travel and tell people about Jesus. And so you ask what we do, that's kind of what we do. And then why we do it. We do it, first of all, because we have a story that we want to share with people. We have all 4 of us have different stories. And I think it's so important that each one of us as Christians, not just us up on stage or what we would call professional Christians, like preachers and singers and evangelists, but I think it's important for everybody that knows and has a relationship with Christ, that we share our story, because your story is unique and your story is important, and your story, we have different testimonies. So my testimony may impact somebody that your testimony doesn't, and vice versa. So it's important that we're all telling people about Jesus and we're all sharing our stories so that more people can know about Christ. So that's kind of why we do it. We want to see people saved. We want to see people encouraged. We want to see people recommit their lives to Christ, and we love music too. we love to sing. We love making music. We love traveling together. A lot of people ask, are you guys really as close as you act like you are on stage? And we really do like each other. It's like, so it's like, it's not a burden. It is such a blessing and a privilege and an honor. Anytime that we're invited to go and share our music ministry. And it's just been a really exciting 5 years. God's opened up a lot of doors. We've recorded 5 albums in 5 years. And so God is really moving and working in our ministry. And we're just excited to see where God would take us next.
You mentioned acapella. Not everybody does acapella. That's pretty bold because you can't hide behind a drummer or musician or anything. That you're out there just with your voice, right?
Yeah, that can be scary sometimes
Yeah.
because if you make a mistake and a track is going behind you or there's instruments behind you, you might be able to get by with it. But if you're doing a cappella music and you mess up, everybody in the room knows.
Yeah.
So it's a little intimidating at first, but we love it. We that's one of my favorite things about singing live with these guys is that we do have the opportunity to try some more challenging things, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that way you don't have to worry about the track being messed up or did the drummer or the piano player make it to the bus or not, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I will share one other thing with you about our story. One kind of neat thing that we always like to include in our services or concerts is that 12 years ago, Caleb, the guy that sings with us, and by the way, what a fantastic singer and just a fantastic person. Caleb is the kind of person that lights up a room when he walks in, and he's just a really great friend. He's taught me so much about the joy of the Lord. I don't know if he ever has a bad day. He's just a really great guy, and I wish he could have been here tonight to be in on this interview. But 12 years ago, he was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and God delivered him from that in a powerful way. He had come off a weekend of drug abuse and alcohol, and he woke up one morning. He said he just went to church randomly. He said, I just got up and I just felt like I needed to go to church. And so he went to his home church in his hometown, and he had been working out of town. So he thought that he had all that stuff that he was doing kind of hidden from everybody. And he walked in, and the Lord began to speak to him during the announcements. And he went forward to the altar and prayed during the announcements at church and gave his life to Christ. And Jesus radically changed him. And he is a different human being. He's a different person. And I didn't know the old Caleb, but I've heard stories about the old Caleb. And he is just a different guy. And that's what Jesus does. Man, he transforms you. When you come to know Christ, you're a different person. Now, me, on the other hand, I don't have that testimony. I mean, my life, my dad's a pastor. And so we were in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, revivals, vacation Bible schools. I mean, the whole 9 yards. If the doors were open, we were there. And I grew up Pentecostal, and my wife grew up Presbyterian. So that's kind of unique in and of itself. But my problem was simply that I grew up in church and I knew a lot about Jesus. I knew a lot of facts about the Bible and about the Lord, but I didn't have a relationship with Christ in my heart. And when I truly gave my life to Jesus, I was transformed there again. I mean, you may not have seen all this change on the outside because I wasn't a drug addict and I wasn't an alcoholic. My dad would have killed me. He's a Pentecostal pastor. He would have killed me. But I was a different person. I felt differently, and I acted differently, and I had different goals and different priorities because God had transformed my heart and my life. And so we kind of bring those two unique perspectives and testimonies, and they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. But I'm thankful that we serve a God that can cover the sin of a drug addict and an alcoholic. And then he can turn around with the same amount of blood, the same drop of blood, and cover the sin of a preacher's kid. And so I'm just thankful that, yeah, we're all different. Everybody's different. We were all raised differently, and we all have different backgrounds, and we all have different testimonies, but we're all the same. We all stand in need of Jesus. We all stand in need of a Savior. And so that's our story. And that's what we want to share with your listeners is that if you're praying for somebody that needs the Lord or struggling with addiction or struggling with their salvation or whatever, you can be encouraged that Caleb Banks is a different person because of the power of God, and that and God can do that for your family. He can do that for you. He can change you because he's done it for us. I know he can do it for you. And so we travel all over and we sing songs and we love music and we try to make excellent music. But our message is Jesus.
If you want to know more about Phillips and Banks, please go to the website. We're going to show you that down in the comment section in Facebook and also YouTube. Follow them, look at their music, read more about their story. You could get their music, and you could even find out where they're having concerts, so that if you're in the area, you could go to that. As you leave this program today and as you walk away from it, I want you to walk away praying for Phillips and Banks. Take the time to pray for them, that God would use them with their story and with their music. They truly need your prayers. They need your
Amen.
prayers, and you need the practice, so pray. And so it's important for you to get a hold of God for it with their name and pray that God would bless them. Thank you so much, Jacob, for sharing today.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Andy. I just really, really appreciate it. And God bless you for your program.
Thank you for showing up for Morning Moments, and keep coming back. And may God richly bless you.